Morning. Today we're going to work with lesson 15.2. It's called Make Halves and Fourths of Rectangles and Circles. And so the other day, if you don't have that, go ahead and grab that out of your math bag, and then you can come back and just click to restart the video and we'll be ready. So if you remember the other day when we were talking about making equal shares, I took this one piece of paper and I folded it so that I made two equal shares. This side is equal to this side, okay? So today we're going to be working on making halves and fourths with rectangles and circles. So if you look at my piece of paper, we can still use it because it is in the shape of a rectangle, okay? So when we fold something or we draw a line on something to make it show equal shares, those have a fraction name too, okay? So this one would be divided into two halves, okay? This is one half of the paper and this is one half of the paper, okay? I could also take this and I could make it show equal shares that are fourths, and that's what we're going to be working with today. So let me show you real quick how I would do that, just in case you need to make something at home to help you see. Okay, so I already have it. I have that crease line there still. Okay, I could either fold that in half like that and continue to fold from here, or I could open it back up and fold from here. So I'm going to fold from here. So I would take it and turn it the tall way. And again, line my corners up and then make a crease on this other side once, the closed side, once I have those corners lined up. So now when I take my rectangle and I open it back up, I now have that one whole piece of paper divided into four equal shares, and we would call this fourths. Okay, so if I covered up one of those shares, I might say that I've covered up 1/4 of my rectangle, or I could say that there is 3/4 of my rectangle still showing. Okay, it's a little bit easier to do this with a rectangle than it is with a piece of paper and make a circle, but I just kind of want to go over that with you real quick. All right, so today we're going to be dividing shapes into 2 and 4 equal shares and use the words to describe those shares, okay? All right, and then it says I can also be precise in my work. If you look at your green box, it says to draw a line inside the circle to show 2 equal shares. Color one of the shares. Then write numbers to tell how many shares are colored. Okay, so we'll do that in just a second. And she goes on to say, draw lines inside the rectangle to show 4 equal shares, color 2 of the shares, and then write numbers to tell how many shares are colored. So that's what we're going to do right here. So I'm going to put this up on my board here, and I think I'm going to shade with a pencil so that it doesn't go through. I've got a red one here, I think it'll work, so that it doesn't go through on the other side of the page in case we need to be able to see something there and we block it and we can't. Okay, all right, so I'm going to take my black pen and let me get you guys as close as possible. Okay, so the first direction said to take this circle and draw a line inside of it so that it shows 2 equal shares. Okay, so I'm going to draw my line across like this. Okay, and then it says to color one of the shares. So I'm going to color this top part. I'm just going to shade. I'm not going to color in completely so that our video doesn't last forever, but just kind of shade in a little bit so that you can clearly see it. Okay, so I've colored one of my shares. Okay, so I could say that 1 out of how many equal shares did I have? 1 out of 2 equal shares is colored. Okay, and then they want us to do the same thing with the rectangle. It says to draw lines inside, and it says lines, draw lines inside to show 4 equal shares. Color 2 of the shares, and then write the numbers to tell how many shares are colored. Okay, there's a multitude of ways that I could do my lines to make my rectangle, okay? I could go straight across, and that would make 2 equal shares, and then come back in the middle and come straight down, and that would make 4 equal shares. I could make a diagonal, and that would make 2 equal shares, and I could make another diagonal this way, but that one would not make all of the shares equal, okay? So there's a multitude of ways to draw those lines, but you can only use the one that shows equal shares, okay? So that would be, because I'm making 4, that would be going across, and I know my pen slipped a little bit because my paper slid, and then come back in the middle, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal shares, okay? And it said to color 2 of the shares, okay? So I'm going to color this one and this one, okay? So how many out of how many equal shares are colored? Okay, I colored 1, 2. Out of how many equal shares did I have on that rectangle? I had 4. Okay, so 2 of 4 equal shares are colored. Okay, so this one shows the word half, okay, or halves. I made 2 halves. This one I made 4 fourths because I divided it into 4 different equal shares, okay? If I wanted to write the fraction for that, it would be 2 over 4 if I wanted to write the fraction, and I can do that right here. This fraction would be 1, and I put my line. This is how you write fractions: 1 out of 2 equal shares, or 1/2. Okay, this one would be, how many equal shares did I color? 2 out of how many equal shares? I have 4. Now you can reduce that fraction, but we won't work with that in first grade. Okay, but that's how you use the words to describe that. It would be halves and fourths. Okay, so let's lift. Back to this page where we see our green boxes, and then we'll work through again. Okay, all right, if you look at your first green box, it says you can divide shapes into halves, which is what we did on the first side with a circle, and fourths. The circle is divided into halves. Half of the circle is yellow. The rectangle is divided into halves, okay? And they could do a diagonal line on this one because they were only divided into 2 parts. If we were to divide it into 4 parts, we couldn't do that diagonal line because these parts wouldn't be equal. Okay, so it says the rectangle is divided into halves. 2 of the halves make 1 whole rectangle. So if I take 2 halves, put them together, it makes the 1 whole rectangle. Same thing with the circle. If I take 2 halves, which would be a semicircle, put them together, it makes 1 whole circle. Okay, so this is how you make halves. You want 2 parts, you draw 1 line. Okay, the circle, this circle is divided into fourths or quarters. And then when you think about quarters, you think about $1. So if you remember when we were counting our money at school, we started and we clapped 25, 50, 75, $1. We counted 4 quarters to make that dollar. So they also, and when we're talking about fractions, when something is divided into fourths, we can call it quarters also, okay? So it says 4 of the quarters make 1 whole circle. So we can see if we take all 4 of these and put them together, and you guys did this on your work last week with your shapes. We put all 4 of those quarters together, it makes 1 whole circle, okay? And it says 1/4 of the circle is blue, okay? What else could we say about 1/4 of the circle? One is blue. What about another one? Okay. We could say 1/4 of the circle is yellow, okay? And then it talks about dividing a rectangle into more space, more equal shares, okay? It says half of the rectangle is green, 1/4 of the rectangle is yellow, and 1/4 of the rectangle is orange, okay? So if I could slide this green over here to where this orange one is, you would see that it would be easier to see. 1 whole half of that rectangle is green, okay? Because 2/4 of it are, okay? 1/4 of the rectangle is yellow, and 1/4 of the rectangle is orange. Okay, so on your do you understand show me, it says what share of this rectangle is green. Okay, so look at your rectangle It has how many equal shares? Okay. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 equal shares. Okay. How many of the equal shares is green? Okay, 1. So if I wanted to write a fraction, I could write 1 out of 4 equal shares is green. This would be 1/4. Okay. All right. So on your guided practice, it says circle the correct shapes for each problem. Okay. They want you to look on number 1, 1/4 blue. Okay. When we're talking about quarters, look back up here and see, are they talking about 4 parts or are they talking about 2 parts? Okay. 2 parts is called half or halves. 4 parts is called quarters. Okay. So you want to look for shapes that have 1/4 blue. Okay. So if we look at this first one, it's divided into 4 parts. Okay. So that part matches, but how many quarters are blue? 1, 2. Okay. So 2 of the quarters are blue, or we could say 1/2 because 1/2 of that box or that square is blue. So that one doesn't fit. Okay. This orange circle is a whole. It doesn't have any equal shares. Okay, when we look at this rectangle, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 equal shares. One is orange, one is yellow, one is green, one is blue, and that's what we're looking for, 1/4 blue. So we would circle this one just like they have done for us. Okay. And then when we look at this circle, okay, first, is it divided into quarters? Quarters has how many pieces? 4. If you said 4, you're correct. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 equal parts. Okay. 1/4 blue. I've got a quarter that's yellow here, a quarter that's yellow here, a quarter that's yellow here, and a quarter that is blue there. So I've got 1/4 of this circle is blue. Okay. So on number 2, you're going to look for 1/2. Underline that word half. You're going to look for 1/2 being yellow, okay? And you'll look at each one of them and ask yourself, is it divided into halves? Half means 2, okay? If it's not divided into halves, it's not one you should consider to see if it matches the clue, okay? So you'll do this one and have someone check it before you move on to your next page. All right? Okay, let's go over what you're going to do today and what you're going to upload. You will need some crayons for this. I wouldn't use markers because markers will bleed through your paper and it might make it hard to see your backside, okay? That's why I chose to use a coloring pencil and a ink pen on the writing today. Okay, so it says color the shapes for each pattern. So in number 3, you have 3 shapes, okay? It says color 1/2 red, okay? Now, remember, even if you have something divided into 4s, or 4ths, you can still color 1/2 of it, okay? You just have to color more equal shares to make that 1/2, okay? So you will color something on each one of these shapes. You're going to color 1/2 red, okay? Underline that word red so that you use a red crayon on that one, okay? On number 4, you're going to color 1/4 orange. So underline, underline 4th, underline orange. Okay, you need an orange crayon for that one. You're coloring 1/4 of the shape orange. Number 5, 1/4 green. Remember, remind yourself, and if you forget, look back over here. When it talks about quarters, how many pieces are there? How many equal shares? Okay, so on number 5, on each of these, you're going to color 1/4 green. Number 6, 1/2 blue. Okay, sorry. Okay. Number 7, Alex has 1/2 of an oatmeal bar. Jen has 1/4 of a different oatmeal bar. Jen's piece is bigger. How could Jen's piece be bigger? Use words or pictures to solve. Okay. So read that, listen to that carefully. May get somebody to read it to you again, but you'll draw down here and tell me, how could Jen's piece be bigger? Use words or pictures to solve. So you can, as long as I can figure out your answer down here, it's kind of too light right there. There you go. Okay, as long as I can figure out from just a picture, you can just draw a picture, but you can also draw words, okay? Or I'm sorry, write words. Sorry, my phone rang and it threw me off. All right. Number 8, it says solve each problem below. Number 8 says explain. Sam says the rectangle is divided into halves. Is he correct? Circle yes or no. Now there's two parts to this, okay? So you're going to circle yes or no to tell, is he correct? Is that rectangle divided into two halves? And then explain how you know. So then you have to write a sentence down here to explain how do you know that that is divided into two halves, okay? Number 9, Mia says the circle is divided into fourths. Lucy says it is divided into quarters. Who is correct? Explain how you know. So you'll either need to have the name Mia written in your answer to say Mia is correct, or you'll need to have the name Lucy written in your answer to say Lucy is correct, and tell me how do you know who is correct, okay? Number 10, Dana draws a rectangle divided into fourths. She colors 1/2 of the rectangle blue and 1/4 of the rectangle green. Draw a rectangle to match the one Dana drew. So you'll draw and you have to color to show so that I know what parts are what, okay? And number 11, it says Yao colors a circle. 1/2 of the circle is blue, the other half is not blue, which shows the shape Yao could have colored, okay? Choose all that apply. Now, you know, whenever it says choose all that apply, there's always more than one answer, okay? So you want to be really careful and make sure you choose all of the answers that are correct, okay? Thank you. Good luck. Have fun.